How is it moving? That's right. Mr. Bhattacharya mentioned, that whether speed is a boon or a curse. And that's what I'm saying. Mobility and safety. Is the speed a villain here in this game? And Mr. Bhattacharya's real life description of the situations where the speed violations takes place and how the road users consider himself in a different role with respect to the speed management that is possible, and that gave a very real life understanding of requirement of speed management. I say that probably it is not a villain. This relationship of mobility and safety and speed being the villain, I have little doubt in that, and I'll describe in my subsequent slides. It is actually the management of speed in relation to the network infrastructure that has been built and provided to the road users for operation. And the poor management of speed is the problem. That is actually the issue. Now, how is that? What I stated here in these 3 lines of blue text, I'll be explaining now. Our mixed traffic and sometimes forced to be mixed due to the infrastructure deficiencies that actually leads to these avoidable crashes or accidents, and through situations where the safety is jeopardized for the vulnerable road users, particularly the users who are more vulnerable in the traffic stream. Now, remember, the OECD and ITF published a landmark report in 2008, Towards Zero. They called the report Ambitious Road Safety Target and the Safe Systems Approach. And that Safe Systems Approach very clearly identified among various things that are required to make the road travel safe. We need to manage safe speed. And that was a requirement to be safe, along with all others. Unless we manage speed, best of the best things, as described by Mr. Bhattacharya, that as soon as the road user come out of the jam city area and reach the NH2, he thinks he has come to a kind of freedom and he shoots up. And that's what is the situation. And much before that also, before this OECD and ITF's kind of report, much before that, Swedish Parliament adopted the resolution of Vision Zero in 1997 itself, more than 20 years back, 24 years back, with clear understanding. And they said loss of human life in traffic is unacceptable. Now, what does it mean? It means that under any circumstances, the death and serious injuries must be avoided in traffic, in your road travel. And that is possible only by limiting the kinetic energy that is created by speed of the traffic. When the vehicles move in the traffic environment, wherever it is, in a jammed situation or a free flow situation, where there are other road users who are probably exposed to the traffic. And that's what is seen, and that's the kinetic energy all of us we know from our school education itself. And as you can see in the bottom, I just made an example for a constant mass, 10 kilograms, and speed being different, how exponentially the kinetic energy increases with the square law of the speed. And that's why the concern is about the speed. And that's what our subject matter of discussion is, the speed. Now, Vision Zero of Sweden is to be achieved by accommodating all road users in the traffic stream with safety. That's the idea. That's the Vision Zero is aiming for. Also, the safe system approach, what has been advocated everywhere. The main three components, safe roads, safe vehicles, and third thing is safe speed in which the road user will operate his vehicle. And along with this, of course, everything else is required. But these three things are fundamental requirement of safe system. Therefore, managing speed is just required. Again, the Haddon matrix, the most commonly used paradigm in the injury prevention field. What does it say? Pre-crash, during crash, post-crash. How the speed influences the whole thing. In the pre-crash situation, in the preventive mode, in the road and road environment, we have to have appropriate speed limit, which is commensurate to the infrastructure provisions. What infrastructure we have provided, what kind of speed it can support, and that's what is the speed limit. And during the crash, obviously, the limited speed will reduce the kinetic energy, and therefore the impact speed will produce less after effect or the damage or the injury. All that will be very limited if we can contain the speed within the speed limit and commensurate to the condition of the road. This voluntary targets, global road safety performance targets, six of these targets, there are 12 of them. Six of these says that we have to reduce the 50% of all the overspeeding violations by 2030. All possibilities of overspeeding violations has to be eliminated. And that's what is linked to the safe road and mobility, the 5 pillars which were declared earlier in the first decade of action. Now let us see what did these rich countries do to improve their road safety. As you can see from 1950, this graph is shown. All these countries had the same situation as our road road safety problem. Their road fatalities were increasing continuously. And one fine morning, they decided they will take stern action against this situation. And they reduced that. They could achieve what they wanted. And it continued like that. And it continues even now. Now, what did they do? They found the vaccines for roads. And these are the 5 vaccines they identified, going through iteratively with several experimentation, because they were the forerunners in the road safety situation. Their vehicle ownership was increasing very fast, just like ours, and they had this big problem of road fatalities and injuries. And they took up that decision. And ultimately, they found these vaccines. And see, the first one itself, among all these, what they did is manage speed. Allow people to travel with legitimate speed in a particular road infrastructure where whatever is admissible safely. And that's what was the objective, and that's why it is the first vaccine of road. Now, second decade of action, which has been just launched some 2 weeks back, 28th of October, with the target that we have to reduce the death and injuries by 50% by 2030. And this is the global plan, and this also is dependent fully on safe system approach. It is fully dependent on safe system approach, and it tells exactly what to do, how to do, and who should be doing all these things. And let me show you that this is what to do. Here also there are 5 pillars, and of course the 4 pillars are exactly same. The first pillar, they changed from institutional strengthening to now multimodal transport and land use planning, and that's very, very important. Unless the network is right, obviously speeding and all violations will take place. How to do? And one of the things, the requirement for implementation is speed management. And that's how the speed is found to be one of the most important element in containing this problem of road safety. Coming to who to do it, obviously the entire gamut of kind of organizations, and not only the government. Government alone cannot solve this road safety problem. That's what has been proved beyond doubt by all. Now, obviously, government has to facilitate. They have to create a kind of implementation climate or implementation environment so that the road safety can be managed, including the speed management. Now, what's the story about our incredible India? Let us see with respect to the speed. Now, here I take just one example, the vulnerable road users' death or fatality in different states in India, taken from the latest data that is available for 2019 for different states. And as you can see, 20 states and union territories are above the national average of 64%. Out of their total road fatalities, in some cases, like Chandigarh has almost 95% to the vulnerable road users. Let us look into Goa, the fourth bar from the left-hand side. It shows only two-wheelers and pedestrians are killed in that state. I mean, that is strange. I mean, why are we not waking up to these problems, even after knowing the problem, that there is a problem related to it? And it's all related to managing speed for the appropriate appropriate speed for the network where the traffic is moving, is all due to improper speed management in a traffic environment. And that's what it is. Or the infrastructure deficiency also is, of course, one of the reason. And infrastructure deficiency should dictate what speed should be allowed in a particular place. Now, speed management ensures that the road users operate at speeds that are safe and appropriate, not only for user of the motor vehicles or motorized traffic. It should be also safe for all the vulnerable road users. That means all other road users. Now, the expressway speed is 120 kilometer. We design it for 120 kilometer per hour. And Nagpur to Mumbai, this Samriddhi Express is designed even for higher speed, 150 kilometer per hour speed. And that is the reason why the expressways are totally access controlled and none of the vulnerable road users are allowed. So management of speed is one thing, management of the infrastructure, what you should allow in that, what you should not allow, that is also, or the way it should be designed and implemented, that is also a part of the story. Just speed management, if we talk about, probably this is not complete in totality. Beyond all provisions of traffic control measures, enforcement is the key for all the ills related to speed or speeding on the road. You may provide all signs, markings, this, that, everything, but without enforcement, obviously, people will take everything to themselves, as Mr. Bhattacharya has very clearly mentioned. 24/7 enforcement is required, and this should be using widely available ATMS technologies, and that can only control the speed violations by systematic behavioral change. Actually demanding behavioral change. This will force people to behave, not that they can do. whatever they like. Therefore, my recommendations are the stretches of highways passing through urban areas or urbanized area like urban development all must be designed for the need of all road users likely to use the road. That means the cross section of the road in that part should be different, and speed must be managed appropriately as possible using the ISO 99/2018, the traffic calming guide. And that will eliminate possibility of speeding. Possibility of speeding is eliminated would mean that a lot of violations will be avoided, and therefore a lot of safety will be provided. Remove all encroachments of right of way of any road, all roads. In urban areas, remove all encroachments of the footpaths by vendors and shops without any compromise from political masters. This is one big hindrance in our country. The moment you want to remove them, there will be objections, there will be a whole lot of other issues. Now, that we have to overcome in some way by explaining to them what damage it is doing, and then we should be able to do it. Build footpath to every urban road. Every urban road should have footpath, at least on one side of the road, if right of way doesn't make it possible to design and provide on both sides. That will make a big difference. And these rich countries where I showed that they have improved the road safety drastically, they have done this. They have done this and got results. There are clear examples available from all these countries. The urban road network planning should prioritize the requirements of pedestrians, cyclists, and public transport. And the network hierarchy should be followed very strictly, which will tackle the speeding problem. I mean, and that will not permit even speeding. I mean, you will have the network hierarchy and arranged in such a way. I mean, people will not be able to travel at higher speed. So speed management should be self-enforcing rather than somebody watching me or something like that. A part of speed management must be obtained by that, and rest is, of course, enforcement's role. Other part is that enforcement is a key element or ingredient of speed management after and beyond all traffic control measures that are implemented. You might have speed kind of speed limit signs, speed breaker, whatnot. All these are provided, but even then there will be violations, and that has to be controlled by enforcement. Setting speed limit or enacting laws doesn't help till we have wide publicity and strict enforcement. Unless we have, I mean, extensive publicity that you are going to be caught by enforcement if you violate. That enforcement must be there, that publicity must be there, and with all these speed limit infrastructure, that will make things happen. Strict for life, at recent time, these are the movements going on in the Western countries now. Street for life with campaign for Love 30, having the 30-kilometer speed limits where people and traffic mix, traffic and people mix together, and it demands for streets that are safe, healthy, green, and livable. That's why they call it street for life. That means for living, we need these streets, not that these are for traffic alone, not for anyone else. Many cities in Western countries are adopting urban speed as 30 kilometer speed, 30 kilometer per hour instead of 50 kilometer, which is prevalent in most cases. Speed management shall be achieved only by combination of enforcement, driver education, posted speed limit, and the appropriate engineering treatments. All these are required. Then only you will be able to manage speed. Without that, obviously, it will remain incomplete, and some success will be there. Part success will be there. A recent innovation in Australia is the platform junction in case of urban areas for added safety by eliminating speeding through the urban intersections. Nobody can speed up while going through the intersections. And that's what is required. Normally, you will see that when the light, traffic light, if it is signalized, then as soon as the amber light comes in, people try to speed up going through the intersection. All these will be totally avoided. Or in the last few seconds of green, people try to speed up in such a speed which is actually not safe to pass through the junction. So all these are to be I mean, these are techniques or kind of ideas, technologies, those are to be used for managing speed so that everything remains safe. This is what I have already said, that the road network planning should prioritize pedestrian, cyclist, and public transport. And network will not facilitate speeding or permit speeding. And just like the inverted pyramid, the pedestrian, cyclist, and public transport has the maximum advantage in the network. And that's how we can manage speed much better. And this will be the built-in safety in the road transport system for managing speed. Thank you very much.